Alrighty, welcome back to yet another episode of I Bought a Microphone. Thank those of you who have come back, and thank those of you who are here for the first time. Welcome. So, this is my podcast where I talk about what happens to be on my mind in a particular day. I hope those of you who have stuck with me listened to the last one. I was a big fan of that, and I got some positive feedback on it. It was a lot of fun to do, and I will definitely do something like that again. I enjoy singing. I enjoy using my voice in pretty much any particular season, and yeah, look forward to more of that type of stuff in the future. This is going to be a short one, and well, my intention is that it be a short one. It's also going to be aired a little earlier than normal. My folks are coming into town this weekend, so I won't do my normal Thursday night, Friday night editing, recording sessions that I normally do. I'm going to do it now, do it quick, get it in there, and look forward to something more interesting next week. I'll try to put more effort into it next time since I'm going to be truncating this one so much. But I didn't want to leave my. I can't even say this sentence without laughing. I can't. I didn't want to leave my fans without any word from me at all. So, this is why I'm here. So, I promised myself one thing when I started doing this. And that was that I was going to be honest. I wasn't going to censor myself. I wasn't going to, if I felt something, I was going to say it regardless of the consequences. Regardless of the way the people that know me that are listening to this would look at me. I wasn't going to hold back. And as time goes on, if I continue this, which I intend to, and if you keep listening, which I seriously hope you do, then you're going to learn some maybe uncomfortable things about me, maybe some not so uncomfortable things, maybe some controversial things about me, maybe some not so. For example, I'm just going to touch on this right now. I'll talk about it more in detail later. But something you might not know about me is I'm a socialist. I appreciate a lot of democratic values, and I guess the safest thing to say is I'm a democratic socialist. I think republics, which this country is, talk about democracy all you want, we are a republic, are too susceptible to corruption. Democracies are less efficient, clearly. I mean, if every single person everywhere has a vote on everything that happens, obviously that's time consuming and impractical. So the republic system is definitely more efficient, but it's also designed to keep certain people in control. Mainly white, landowning, in this case rich. Used to be landowning, that was like the definition of rich. These days, it's just you have a shitload of money. Those people's voices continue to be more important than everyone else's. That's what the Republic serves. That's the function that it really maintains. Not the status quo, which is what everybody needs. what everybody wants, but what the most powerful people in the country want. That is maintained. And it's sold as the good for everybody. That's the way I see it. In my experience, that's how it functions. And I don't know if it's the best way for a system to run, but that's the way our system runs. That's the one that we have until it's overthrown, or until it collapses, or until we're inevitably conquered by China. But that's, a problem for another day. That's an example of something that you might not know about me, that I don't necessarily talk about a lot, but that's the way I feel. In my ideal system, in a democratic socialist system, votes would be taken to determine what was most important to the majority of the populace, and the government, the legislative, executive, judicial arms of the government, would enforce those policies, regardless of dissent from the minority. But there's also another aspect of socialism that I agree with, which is it doesn't matter if a lot of people don't like something or don't want something to happen. If it's to the benefit of everybody, regardless of their opinions of it, we're going to go ahead and do it. And that I'm going to come back to later. That, obviously, is another system that can be exploited, could be corrupt. Every form of government is susceptible and is also, to some extent, corrupt. Because human beings, the people who create governments, are flawed, sad individuals. Some who crave power only to fulfill, some sort of sick desire within them. Others want to feel like they mean something in the cosmic scale. They see themselves as insignificant and need to rise above that. I absolutely understand those urges. What I do, I just don't, bother to care about that. We are insignificant in the cosmic scale. It's impossible to live up to the standards that religions and social norms demand of us. Why do we feel compelled to do and say certain things? I am off the rails on this one. I really didn't mean to talk about socialism. The reason I was going to bring this up just for a moment, and I don't know how much this has survived, I might have edited out big chunks of this. I can't tell you at this point how I'm going to feel when I'm done. I will talk further on my thoughts on this, and of course, I don't expect anyone to agree with me, and that's fine. One of the things this country is founded on is freedom of speech, and that protects my right to say stupid things about what I think the government should be doing. The reason that this even comes to mind, or that I even brought it up, is today there was yet another mass shooting in Florida. And I don't mean just in Florida. I mean, there was another mass shooting, and it happened in Florida. Though there was also another mass shooting in Florida. This time, not at a gay nightclub. This time, it was a school. Not the first one to happen at a school. Why do they happen at schools? We need to have a serious conversation in this country about guns. I have a gun. I own one. Do I think I have a right to a gun? I mean, yeah, it's right there in the Constitution, right after freedom of speech. But should I? And should we begin having a serious conversation about limits on who should have guns? I think yes. I think it's time that we stop using the Second Amendment as an excuse to ignore the real problem that we have in this country, which is murders by gun. You know, murders in general are tragic, but it's really hard to have a mass axe killing. It's really hard to kill 17 people with a sword. You kind of see that shit coming. It's a little harder to avoid that when we have fucking projectile firearms readily available to fucking anybody and everybody who wants to have them. And there are 1,000 arguments that can be made about I don't have a gun and somebody else has a gun, I want to have a gun, blah, 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 blah. And the main reason that I hesitate to even bring up this argument is once we unravel the Second Amendment, because it's a relic of a bygone age, at what point, at what, what time does somebody suddenly say the First Amendment is a part of a bygone era, and that needs to be re-examined, and that needs to be overturned? The Fifth Amendment, protection from incriminating yourself, that's a problem, and we have to work around that, and we have to overturn that. So I get it. I get the hesitation and the fear that people have about that and those things. And I also understand there's a cultural element to it too. Americans' history is tied into that. I understand that this is an ethically tricky area for some people. But that shit goes out the motherfucking window when fucking children's lives are fucking in jeopardy. I'm sorry. It's about fucking time that we stop worrying about gun owners' rights and start worrying about the people who get killed by guns' rights. It's all I'm saying. It's fucking defensible. Throw out as many Second Amendment arguments as you want. We have seatbelt laws. We have warnings on cigarettes. We have outlawed heroin and fucking marijuana because of public safety issues. So it's not exactly unfucking precedented that there would be government controls on products that are a legitimate health hazard. And I would say that 17 people dying because of something that somebody bought at a store might be a health hazard. And that's just today. Let's go back to last year. I mean, I don't have statistics in front of me. I tried looking them up. I went to a website that said that was tracking mass shootings, which the FBI defines as 3 people or more being killed in a shooting. One website I saw had like 30 results in this year alone. This year is a month and a half old. Another site said 345 last year. If those numbers are inflated, okay? If it's 100 instead of 345, it's too much. If it's 25 instead of 345, it's too much. If it's 345 last year, it's too goddamn much. Because assuming it was only 3 people that died in each of those, that's 1,590 people that are no longer on the planet because guns are readily available at the corner store. It's a preventable fucking problem. It's fixable, and all we need to do is give a shit. This is one of the topics that I don't talk about a lot because it makes me so fucking mad. Because everybody comes at me with the fucking Second Amendment argument, or it's not a gun issue, it's a mental health issue. We have mental health issues that need to be addressed. I fucking agree with that. But if somebody with a mental health issue can purchase a weapon and kill multiple people, and there's no checks in between the purchase and the killing, there's nothing that stops them or even hesitates them from getting a gun and killing people with it. Nobody even asks any questions in the interim period. And I'm from Arizona. We have one of the most lax gun laws in the fucking country. I have a shotgun that's completely unregistered, and from what I understand, there's no requirement for me to register it. I didn't even buy it. Somebody got it for me, so I could go out now and kill anybody I want with it. And they'd probably be held responsible or financially liable if somebody gets sued. I don't know. That's none of that's important. This is probably one of the most heavily edited episodes I've ever done, just because so many of these things send me off on irrelevant tangents. I'm trying to stick to the point. The time has come to have a serious conversation about gun control in this country. And I'll tell you right now, if outlawing all guns tomorrow would stop all mass shootings, like they did in Australia, I'll give you my shotgun tomorrow. You can have it. I got a machete in my closet. If anyone tries to break into my house and gets frisky, I'll use that. I'm a socialist. And this is bad for everybody. And this is where socialism comes in. We shouldn't have a vote on this. It's hard to say when we should and when we shouldn't, but this is one of those situations where it's bad for everybody. And we shouldn't listen to what the people have to say. People are dying by the hundreds, and it's fixable. It's fixable. That's all I really have to say on the subject. I mean, right now, I could go on for hours and hours and hours. You don't want that, and I don't want that. It's fixable. I want you guys to take care of each other. I love you. I do. And I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for listening to I Bought a Microphone.